Then there's a third part, and that's what I want to emphasize here. This is kind of what I'm putting a lot of my time and enthusiasm in these days, and it follows up on the other thing that Dan and Mike were mentioning, and that is the VMT issue, the vehicle miles traveled. And that's kind of a shorthand for saying we need to change our cities, we need to change our behaviors, we need to drive less somehow. And of course, that's something that politicians have been reluctant, and that's an understatement, to do anything about. And there have been efforts. There's actually a whole sense of programs and laws and rules that have been adopted over the years to reduce VMT, and they've all failed in the United States and in California. So I'm proposing, okay, you're hearing it here first, but actually now that I'm on the air board, this is one of the, as an academic, we're always yelling at the politicians for all the stupid things they do or don't do, and now it's kind of, kind of a daunting responsibility to realize.
You yourself now, right?
Yeah, I know. I can't yell at myself. I do yell at myself, but so here's what I've been putting forward, and I'm hopeful this is going to get into the state's policy program for climate, and it's the idea of carbon budgets for cities. So there's actually a big group in Sacramento coming up with all the ideas of what the state should be doing with VMT, and they've got this laundry list of about 100 things. But they're all mostly voluntary, they're passive, and I don't think it's going to be very effective. So what I'm suggesting is, and we can talk about it, is the idea that just as we have a cap and trade program we're likely to implement for stationary sources, how about a similar type program for cities? And so the idea is you give a target to a city, and you say a budget, and say, okay, every decision you make that has a greenhouse gas implication, you're going to be held responsible for that, plus or minus, in terms of positive or negative. And so what this does is it provides a focal point. It pushes the responsibility down to the cities. They become accountable, but they become empowered at the same time. So there's lots of details on how to make that work, and cities are, there's a lot of political, it's a very sensitive issue because land use is a prerogative of the cities and state government doesn't want to get involved, or is leery of getting involved in it. But I think we've got a way to go to get at it, and we have to do it. So I'm putting this forth as part of what's going forward as the so-called scoping plan. ARB is putting together a scoping plan of how the state will meet the climate goals of AB 32, and so I'm hopeful that this will get in there. So anyway, so please ask about it, and we'll get back to it.